Yes, I'm supposed to say something to you very elliptically, like pawn A to king's mate ploy, and you understand what I mean, and we go into one of our daring escape routines.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of Kill James Bond of 2023. I'm Alice Caldwell-Kelly. I am living this joke down for the rest of the year, joined as always by my friends Abigail Thorne and Devon.
Hey.
How you doing?
We're deep into the Man from U.N.C.L.E. series now, and we're up to something that promises a lot with the title, The Karate Killers.
Oh yeah, this title writes a big check. Can the movie cash it? We'll see.
Yeah, immediately you have to imagine I am starting a big sort of clock with time until karate is like a sort of a focal point of the movie. And
oh yeah, this is definitely the title where I was the most excited.
Yeah.
Although I am very much 5 times bidden, 6th time shy about the fucking titles on these goddamn shows. So.
Well, the thing is, right, you know my grand unified theory from last time that all of the titles are just transposed by one movie. The next one is The Helicopter Spies. And this movie opens with a bunch of helicopters, and I'm like, well, there's the fucking helicopter, you know? And then a second later, I go, wait a second, this isn't the Helicopter Spies. And a second after that, I go, and that's an autogyro.
Yeah, my opening note says, Microlight Baz and the boys drop bombs on Ilya's pussy wagon.
Yes.
Mine
Microlight Baz.
Sorry. Microlight Baz is really fucking good.
Because this guy, the opening shot is this guy
it's
in
not
like
an
a
helicopter,
big white
not
guy in a
planes,
leather
not
jacket,
so simple
goggles.
as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Microlight Baz.
This is you could genuinely do a sort of like Academy Awards like in memoriam precious moments reel of all the guys wearing different fucked up goggles in this movie.
It's
very
so
goggle
good.
Yeah,
heavy
this
movie.
is the film where Thrush really get their henchmen drip together.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good to see.
Lots of black and red.
Lots of color coordinated outfits.
Yeah, these guys in their autogyros attack Solo and Kuryakin, who are driving a weirdly sexy car. And I'm not sure what car this is.
It's a modified AMT Piranha.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've written down here that this is... I call it the
time.
sexual ute, because it has the truck bed of a ute. But it has a sort of quite un-Australian air of sensuality about
Yeah,
it
so
as well.
it started off as an AMT Piranha, and they modified it. They like made the headlights, you can like withdraw them into the body. It kind of looks like an E-Type Jaguar as designed by like 60s retrofuturism. So it's this very, very cool looking like sleek car, probably very impractical, very long.
Mm. And we get a lot of like shots of Mr. Goggles Man firing, I guess, grenades or like little bombs at the sexual youth.
This is so fucking James Bond. This is like Diamonds Off. No, whatever the one with the volcano base. I don't they're fucking blur into one, but it's the same
It's like
Microlight shit.
6 volcano bases.
You only live twice. That's the one.
That's the one.
That's
The
the
one
Japan
where he's
one.
Japanese. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god, this film is. Oh my god, this film is just you made it twice. Jesus.
Just excuse this rather odd mixture of styles. But so Solo and Kuryakin escape by driving into a tunnel, which, to be fair, absolutely fucks you if you're in an autogyro or a helicopter.
Yeah, it's not very dramatic though.
You're just done.
I
Yeah,
thought
they just
were
drive
gonna-
into a tunnel and then it like cuts, the scene's done.
Yeah,
It's like,
well,
yeah.
I guess they just stayed there till those guys ran out of fuel. It's
Go away, idiot.
pretty easy actually. Yeah.
It's actually it's a pretty well filmed sequence, like unusually so. I thought they have the like weird autogyro rotor sound as like a sort of like constant thing. That's like it's quite effective.
Did you get a lot of repeated footage of Microlight Baz firing his missiles though?
Oh yeah, because they had the budget for like 1 minute of microlight time and nothing more. And then we get the credit sequence, which is not our typical. They've changed the title sequence. Now it's like a little music video. We get some like 60s sunshine.
Oh God,
pop
for a
in club.
brief, beautiful second, I thought they had written like a song for this one, like it was a Bond film, but they just haven't. It's a different.
It's also quite funny
No,
as well
they paid
because
for one song.
the opening credits music is a well, the opening credits are about 2.5 minutes long, and they've got about 30 seconds of footage. So
That's right.
They like loop it and flip it. You can almost feel the editor like sweating in the booth trying to fucking work this footage as much as he can.
Girl like dancing in the same way 3 times. But we see in the background of this
reversed,
club,
really good. Spot on.
yeah, there's like a handover of something. Lots of like sinister looking men, and one of them gets handed a canister which he opens into his hand and pours a bunch of glitter in there. So we're seeing a top secret glitter deal.
Yeah.
Going down.
And the guy, the shady guy who gets given this vial of gold glitter, is an actor I love to see. It's Herbert Lom, who, listeners, if you've seen the original Pink Panther films, which we may have to watch at some point because they're very racist.
because they're very racist.
Herbert Lom is one of the
You
recurring...
lose one round of which KJB host is racist, and all of a sudden you just really lean into it, you know?
No, because they're like the similar sort of like 60s vibe, yeah. But Herbert Lom is one of the recurring villains in that. He's like such a fucking good actor. I think in this, he's genuinely the best villain Uncle's had yet.
Yeah, genuinely.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good. He's so like serious. It's fantastic. There are so many scenes where like something ridiculous is happening at him and he's just like completely stone-faced throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, he's like born to be a comedy straight man. This is also his role in the Pink Panther films.
Absolute seriousness. But so he buys the glitter, and then we go immediately to... We don't have a briefing scene for this. Instead, we just dump Solo and Kuryakin straight into... someone's idea of a lab, which is a bunch of different
into the set
flasks
of
with
Bill
coloured
Nye the
liquids.
Science Guy.
Classic lab scene. Erlenmeyer's with various colours in. It's of like dry ice is smoking all over the shop. It's perfect. It's ideal.
There's a gizmo.
Where you do the science.
I love it.
And they're going to meet the inventor of this gizmo, Dr. Simon True.
Don't get attached.
And no,
Simon Drew,
this gizmo,
perfect job he's doing.
Yeah, this gizmo is to like desalinate seawater, and apparently it's very good at it. However, he's feeling quite weird, and as we know in a movie, one of the things that gives me health anxiety, if you ever feel a bit weird, you're gonna die. You're gonna die instantly.
So before he collapses and dies, he tells Uncle, somebody's broken into my lab. Because as I was trying to figure out how to desalinate seawater, I've accidentally figured out something else, which you'll see in a moment. Oh, I'm feeling a bit sick.
This man's death is so unremarkable, but there's not even like a musical sting as he's dying. Like it's still the same background music.
Oh, also,
no drama.
The gizmo like explodes, right, and is destroyed, and it has a dial on it that says "danger in thousands."
It's so...
I love the danger dial. I love the danger dial so much. The danger dial will make a reappearance at the end of this movie because they reuse it.
Dangini per square inch. Like I don't know the fucking units of it.
It's actually a French unit of measurement, the danger. Yeah, so he takes a little pill, and then it turns out to be the pill that kills you instantly, and he just like falls down on the floor dead. And like this doesn't get that much reaction from Solo or Kuryakin, but as they're hunched over him, he uses his like dying breath to say, you'd have to like the thrush would have to follow the 4 winds to get my formula, and then also the 4 winds are my daughters.
Yeah.
By the way, just to be clear here, in case you didn't get it, I have 4 daughters. And you'd need to.
Yeah, this
like,
is
cool,
what the thing of the movie is. This is my dying words. Go to next location.
Oh shit!
So then we have the briefing scene, and at Uncle HQ, and M says, "Yo, microlight bars worked for Thrush. They're trying to kill you again, as per." The scientist who died. The reason he died is because whilst he was desalinating the sea, he accidentally discovered how to extract gold from seawater. It's like a source of limitless wealth, right? And if
alchemy real.
Yeah, if Thrush ever get their hands on this, they'll be able to buy Twitter, and it'll be a nightmare. So he says, "Oh, by the way, the scientist has like a 10 out of 10 smoke show daughter," and Solo and Ilya are like, yeah, of course. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, my mistake. He's got 5 of them."
You're
gonna have to fuck a lot of women. Yeah. What's interesting is Waverly says, "I'm sure Mr. Solo is more than eager to follow up on the daughter, which
is Waverly or is Waverly not aware of Solo's sex criminal behavior? Because there's some episodes where he's like, well, I'm sure Mr. Solo would never do anything inappropriate, and there's some where he's like, well, I'm sure Mr. Solo will be balls deep in her by 5 o'clock.
I set you up with my niece. However, I assume that you are like a gentleman about it. Strange. But yeah, so the scientist has 4 stepdaughters and 1 biological daughter, and so therefore you're gonna have to go and have sex with all of them to find all of the pieces of the like formula for the thing that lets you do the gold. Because Thrush want this, and if they want this, they're gonna buy Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we get to the scientist's widow, who is Joan Crawford.
Yeah, she fucking is. She does an unbelievable job in this.
She's so good.
She's a legend for a fucking reason.
Joan Crawford as the world's slowest on the uptake woman. So
hey, she
Herbert
gets
Lom,
there. It takes a bit, but she gets there.
Herbert Lom enters the scene. We immediately gather they have been having an affair, right? She's been cheating on her scientist husband with him, and he has now dropped the sort of like charming chivalrous act and is like, where did he keep the formula? And is getting increasingly threatening, while she is like decreasingly understanding that he's a bad guy.
Yeah, she also puts it together that he poisoned her husband, and I'm like, I feel like that was an error. I feel like if you hadn't done that, you could have tortured him for information.
She has a great line, which is how she met her husband. He was there he was in Stockholm collecting his 2nd Nobel Prize, and I was there picking up my 4th divorce, which I find very charming. Really but so we then see that Herbert Lom, I'm not going to remember his name, not even sure if he has one.
It's fucking Randolph.
Yeah.
I remember his name because it's another classic. Randolph. He's got some boys.
Yeah, he's got 2 moves is what he has. He has a light attack and a heavy attack. And the light attack is slap woman, which he does. He
does this
slaps
so
her.
much. There's hardly any woman in the film that doesn't at some point get a backhand from Herbert Lom.
Yeah. It's just like an instinct when you work for Thrush. There's like an 8-month training program to just automatically slap the first woman.
Later on in the film, he reprimands one of his boys for slapping a woman, and then not 5 minutes later does it himself.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's a people negative management style.
It's like a tick. It's like an anxious tick with him.
He doesn't even know he's doing it, the poor bugger.
He slaps her, and then in a sort of like a sentence I never thought I would say, Joan Crawford makes an uncannily Minecraft noise. He slaps her and she goes, ooh.
She gets chain point of damage.
It's first of all, that's a real drop from the movie.
Sure.
But
he fucking like snaps his fingers and some blokes walk in. Allow me to tell you what they're wearing.
Please.
4 guys, right? Black leather trousers, black leather gloves, orange turtleneck, black leather open vest. And they just, 4 of them walk straight through the doors. They must have been just like right outside.
They're big. They're big guys.
They're huge. They're
dressed exactly like Mishka and Grishka
really
from fucking Octopussy.
Yeah,
had this same fit. Also, I do want to say, the summoning his guys, his heavy attack, he does that while his hand is still like in motion off of slapping her. He like slaps her, and while his hand is moving back, snaps his fingers to summon his boys. So he like...
The boys must have good hearing if they can distinguish between the sound of like her being slapped and then the finger click that summons them.
Yeah. But he's got them clicker trained. It's very weird. But so they show up and they menace her in such a way as to imply that she is killed. Like, we zoom in close on her face while the boys walk closer to her.
She tries to stab Herbert Lom with a letter opener, and he's like, don't be so dramatic. It's so good. It's like, I love that Herbert Lom is like refusing to be in a comedy. That's his character. It's like the uncle boys are like kind of cheeky, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, and Herbert Lom's like, no, I will kill people. Like, I will do this. Like, he's like a serious Bond villain in this very silly film.
But so they leave, and our uncle boys roll up to the location where they find that Thrush have been there, trashed it, and they find the scientist's daughter, his like biological daughter.
Sandy.
Sandy, yes. Sandy, played by Kim Darby, who sort of had a line in the 60s and 70s of like playing much younger than she was. Like she was in True Grit most famously, where she's like 21 playing 14. And so the movie like is very clear that she is like a child. And she's in hiding, and Solo goes to comfort her, and Kuryakin immediately ruins it by being like, "Oh, you remember your mum? Well, she's dead."
Yeah.
Well, he has this cool line where she's like, "Oh, I always hated my stepmother. Like, you know, after she must be responsible for this. Like, if I ever find her, I'll kill her." And Kuryakin just goes, "I think someone's beaten you to it," and just like uncovers the corpse of Joan Crawford,
which has been in the room with Sandy this whole time, and she just hasn't noticed.
She didn't look around.
She doesn't check behind the curtain. Like,
we cut to the plane, and they're bringing Sandy along because she's their only key. Because she got a message from her scientist father saying that only she would know the truth of whatever this is. So they're on a plane, and they're going to go to Rome to track down daughter number 1. And behind them, like 2 rows behind, Randolph is there, fucking dripped the fuck.
Sick fit.
So good, so conspicuous.
There are a lot of great fits in this movie. My man is wearing a leather trilby, like Bakelite sunglasses, a contrast collar shirt where the shirt collar is check and the shirt body is black.
A skinny like silver tie. And like
perfect.
A brown tweedy jacket. It's so good.
Absolutely
This is
gorgeous.
not a noticeable man at all.
The most like I am an evil spy outfit anyone's ever worn.
Absolutely tearing it up on like menswear Instagram accounts.
Yeah.
This is like a highly noticeable dude. This is a dude who gets stopped on the street to have you like take his photo.
It's a real like men used to dress like this what happened ass fit.
Yeah. Sort of like spending, $2,000 on a pair of custom made shoes or something. So they go to Rome, where they immediately drop Sandy off with the designated woman handler, who is like some uncle agent who is just there to like wrangle the women. It's just like, just go shopping or something. Fuck off.
Unnamed.
Of course.
So we just drop her off, and then they go to a location, and we see a fellow. We see a man enter the scene.
Fucking sick fit count number 2.
He enters this fucking scene. My first note says entering the function, because he just like steps through the door, and he's got this like red and white checked fucking cravat on. I don't recall the rest of it. I think you put a screenshot.
I recall the rest of it.
I
took intimate notes on this. My man is okay. So Telly Savalas enters the fucking scene. It's this Italian manor house.
Yeah. This is one of 2 Bond villains to appear in this film.
Yeah, he enters the scene wearing a red velour dressing gown or smoking jacket. It's not like cut high enough for me to tell. A sort of like check napkin or cravat stuffed into his shirt. He is holding in one hand a glass of wine and a cigarette. In the other, like, opposite side pocket, he has a baguette sticking out. This is a man who has been interrupted in a moment of unimaginable Euro vibes.
He walks in the room, I believe he says,
"I'm the Count, Valeriano de Francini. Tell me, what do you want?"
It's just perfect. It's just
beautiful.
Guy, man arrives in the function.
Just like entering
How
a room
badly
saying,
do you
"I am
want
the Count."
How badly do you want to begin every social interaction this way? It's just like, what the fuck do you want? What are you doing in my house?
All right, I'm the Count. What do you want? And they go, we're from Uncle. We're here to see the Contessa. And he goes, "Oh, beautiful." They don't say we're from Uncle. They do the classic Napoleon move of going, "We're from the UN CLE."
Yeah, we're from the UN CLE. And he says, "Oh, Oncle," which is a great little drop for future use.
He goes, "Oh, I see. You're her uncle. You've come to pay the money."
Ransom. And they're like,
and they go, "What?" And he goes,
"Hey, no money, no contessa, eh? Arrivederci."
Perfect.
And immediately leaves the function. Just straight out the fucking door, a guy walks in with a shotgun. Scene cuts.
He's like, I've got 2/3 of a baguette to eat, a cigarette that is mostly ash to smoke. Most of that ash is already in this wine glass.
It's like genuinely such a perfect fucking like scene. If that was the only thing he was in, he'd get the fucking Kaufman. Just walks in, arrivederci, I'm the fucking count. Do you have my money? No? Buongiorno. Just like, all right, go back with it.
I love the count so much. So as they're leaving, they get a message dropped to them out of a window from the Contessa that's like, I am being held hostage. So they shimmy up a drain pipe to see the Contessa entirely naked, and to this woman, hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
How you doing?
She is American,
McBain.
she is blonde. Those are the two things.
Another absolute legend of the genre.
10 out of 10 smoke show baddie. Solo tosses her his jacket to like cover her nakedness, and the second she puts on this suit jacket, hello again to this woman, but more insistently, hello.
Buongiorno.
And she explains that her sort of tyrannical bestial husband, Telly Savalas, has been holding her captive for money, like ransom, and doesn't let her have any clothes, which
So she can't run away.
Horny. Yeah. And he's been tearing the house apart. So if you want this formula thing, you're gonna have to like wait with me in this room until he goes to sleep, which he does with the chickens to save electricity.
Yeah, because the thing is, he's cheap. Easy. He's like selling off all the furniture. He's like trying to hold her ransom. Like he's doing everything he can to like.
He's not cutting into the like
money.
baguette, cigarette, and red wine budget at all.
Oh yeah,
which is perfect.
You buy the essentials and then you work out your budget. All right, listen. You get the red wine, you get the cigarettes, you get the baguette, you get the velour smoking jacket. Yeah, and then you're like, all right,
doing one of the like increasingly grim sort of like how to survive the cost of living crisis articles, but it's just that sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, first of all, what you're going to want to do is the red velour smoking jacket.
Yeah, I'm dressed
this is
like
non-negotiable.
The heating is not on. I am freezing cold, but my God, do I look good.
This guy's going on Good Morning, like trying to give budgeting advice, being like, no money, no contest, arrivederci.
Every morning I get up, I light a cigarette. That's the sole use of energy I make in my day. I have to like break a thick crust of ice over the top of my glass of red wine. And
I maintain my body heat by inhaling warm cigarette vapor. It's the only heat that I bring into my body. The red wine is cold.
Yeah.
It's an eternal balance.
So they go downstairs after dark. They poke around looking for stuff, and immediately the Count catches them. And I would describe this scene as Italian loudness quotient going up. Like it's a one-way street.
This series like really does not like Italian people.
No, it does not. My favorite thing was something you pointed out, Avi, which is that Ilya tries to intervene when they start arguing, and then as soon as he does, they both just walk past him and he just gives up entirely.
It's so I clipped the fucking like I clipped it. It's just like he's like, guys, listen, and then he just goes straight past me. He's like, all right.
It was Devon who called that. It is a great moment.
Oh, right.
He just like puts both hands like palm upwards, like, all right.
At this point, Herbert Lom comes back into the film. He's like, yo, I'm the villain of the film. I'm one step ahead. Because they think that the Contessa must have gotten a letter from her scientist father with like some of the formula on it, right? So he's like, give me the letter. They're all like, I don't know what the fuck letter you're talking about. There's a big fight. And then the fire department arrive?
Yeah, so ends like the end of Blazing Saddles for some fucking reason. Like just this, everyone just runs onto the soundstage and you're like, oh, okay, here we go.
These are also the clown firefighters. Like they're just doing bits where like the guy runs into the ladder and stuff and knocks all of the rungs out with his chin. Incidentally, as my little favorite statistical thing to keep track of, the time to Uncle Chop is 22 minutes 21 seconds because the Count gets Uncle Chopped by Ilya during the course of this.
There's a lot of Uncle Chops in this film. It's very chop heavy.
Yeah. High number.
More chops than a butcher.
That's right.
But the gun that the butler has goes off, opens a secret passage which Sandy dives into, gets stuck in there. Everybody calms down. They rescue her out of the secret passage to find that it's filled with treasures, and this is why the Count has been like selling everything off and like not moving them out of the house is because he's trying to like track down this hidden treasure.
Mhm.
He and his wife like rekindle their love, as you would, because she is extremely what's the word, avaricious, I suppose.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get the letter, which has some like a little bit of a formula scribbled on it, some letters and numbers and symbols.
It's like attached to like an 8x10 glossy of it's like clearly the actor's headshot,
Yeah,
and they've just
straight up.
got 4 of these with a different bit of the formula, and it's such a weird thing. It's like
I love to send my 4 stepdaughters like signed 8x10 glossy headshots of me.
Yeah.
Just like, okay.
It's like, I'm dead now. Have you considered casting me?
It's like
Another
classic, like
movie.
signed in a silver pen style thing.
Have
It's
you
like,
considered casting me in A Hole in the Ground?
For your consideration, my funeral.
Playing the role of corpse. It was a leading character in the
Wheeling a
funeral.
corpse into the fucking audition.
Yeah.
All right, can you give us lying completely dead on the ground? Oh, beautiful.
it's just like lying fully dead. All the casting directors like, shit.
So
Oh,
good.
no,
Oh
can you
my
do it again
God.
so we can make sure it wasn't a fluke? So they wheel him back in and he's like, my God, he's consistent too.
Oh,
He's
it's
a
so good. But
natural.
actually, wait, what if we got a cis actor to do it instead, though? That would be easy. We'll
Absolutely.
let him be in
Well.
it, but we'll just kind of like he'll just sort of stand there. He won't get to do anything, but we'll get to say he's there.
So we're done in
This
Rome,
is a little
right?
too well. We need a.
Yeah, well, you
No
just
one will
don't
believe
look.
that they're trans.
You just don't look like a corpse. You just don't look corpse enough. If anything,
We
you don't have a voice like a corpse.
Imagine getting passed up to act as a corpse by like an alive guy. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
do you think Daniel Radcliffe just took that role off of a fully dead guy for fucking?
Like spirit is going, how the hell did I not get that one?
So we're done in Rome, which means we have to go to the second city in Europe. We have to go to.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
Fuck you. Yeah, we go to fucking London, don't we?
London.
It's so weird that this movie thinks that London is cool because it's the
Well, this is the
60s,
thing.
right?
I have a this
think
is
it
the thing.
was.
I think that this is the only time so far that an uncle film has felt like it's been in the 60s. Like a lot of them have felt like the 50s.
Yeah.
This one is this is 1967, and it's the first one that feels sort of like 60s-ish. And so
There's even a moment
because
later where
London is
Herbert Lom
cool-
comes back and then confronts him and says to Napoleon Solo, he's like, "It's cooler than Rome, isn't it, Mr. Solo?" And it's like, no, no, it isn't.
the only time in history that has been true
Yeah.
was 1967, and Sandy is like very into this. She's mad that she can't get can't go out with him on
Yeah,
the
she
mission
says, "This is
because
London. This is where the action is." It's like, no, it's not. It's not.
this is London.
I think it
It's
was
where the action is.
67, though, I suppose.
She wants to go to Carnaby Street, and
She's like, "I need to buy a
Fair
flat
enough, yeah.
now, and it will be worth so much money in 50 years."
Meanwhile, in the background on a TV screen, we see the Lord Mayor's procession, which is interrupted in the best possible way by a woman in a bikini has hijacked the Lord Mayor's coach. And,
Hello.
hello to this woman.
Hello again. How you doing?
She extracts herself from this coach and causes a public outcry. And she has to be, shielded by this police officer, who I immediately recognize as Terry Thomas with a hyphen. Guy I love to see. Very important representation for British people with giant fucked up gaps in our teeth.
It's fantastic for me,
and-
absolutely. This has such a stacked cast of 60s guys.
He does
this
a
is
really good job in this role, to be fair.
I've not seen a cast this stacked since Spy Kids, right? I don't understand. It's just all these guys, and I end up writing down everyone's names. Like, holy shit, it's fucking. It's Telly Savalas.
So this is Imogen. She's daughter number 2. She gets arrested, and then at her
The
hearing
thing about
trial,
Imogen is that she is the most sex positive woman who has ever lived.
Yeah.
That is true.
And the whole trial, she is flirting with the judge. She's flirting with the cops.
Oh.
Terry Thomas does this long monologue where he's like, "It's cop
Long
speak."
Yeah,
carry
it's
It's
very
like,
fun.
Yeah, scene.
I
Yeah,
approached
I-
the female gentleman who was wearing a bikini with a fringe, and I proceeded in the direction of her tits. It's all this shit.
Yeah. Except like weirdly aristocratic because
Yeah.
that was Terry Thomas's vibe, and so is he has this like fun thing where she calls him handsome, and he's like pointedly embarrassed on the stand, which is fun.
But we gather that she's like a dancer and a model, and she was doing this for publicity, and is still doing it for publicity. And the judge is just like, you're going to jail. Fuck you.
Judge is like, horny is illegal, and she hits him with,
Oh dear, well, does that mean that I have to be in jail?
to which the answer is yes, but for the fact that Uncle show up, and Napoleon Solo like springs her, he like pays her bail.
There's a funny moment where the judge says, yes, you will go to jail unless somebody here can unless you have a friend who can pay your bail, and all the men in the court immediately like it's so policemen actually are like, I'll pay it. And then Napoleon Solo's like, right here.
The actress here is Jill Ireland, who was married to David McCallum at the time of filming.
Yes, she was.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
they
got divorced a year later.
No, not even a year later. Year of. They got divorced same year.
That's a shame.
Married Charles Bronson instead.
Well, maybe it's not a shame. Maybe she wasn't nice to him. But like, damn, good work, David McCallum.
They had 3 kids together. So.
Insanely funny to be like, hey, could you put my hot wife in the show that I'm on and make sure that it's clear how hot she is? Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
David McCallum, wife guy.
You're telling me that this woman has had 3 children?
That's right. At the time of 2.
Damn.
Yeah.
2 and an adopted one at the time of, yeah.
Wow.
No, she looks fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
for real.
But
I look that good when I've had 3 children.
How the fuck that happens. But yeah, she takes Solo and Kuryakin to her work, where she also lives, because she's like a sort of disaster, like a horny disaster.
That's right.
And she works at the club that we saw in the opening sequence, with the same band playing the same song, because they only had the budget for one song.
This is where we get the all of the shots that they remixed into the title sequence from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
however,
so
there is one detail I want to pick out here.
There's a bunch of weird shit. There's a duck pond.
There's a duck pond, that's true.
I wrote down why they got these regular-ass ducks in the club, but then...
There's something else as well.
There's a cat, like a regular, ordinary cat.
Shut up.
Yeah,
a regular, ordinary black and white cat.
Just a straight-up
bird cage. Like a tiny bird cage suspended above the crowd, and every motherfucker is like deliberately jostling it, and the whole time they're doing that, I'm like, cat harmed.
Animals were harmed in the making of this picture. Yeah.
Cat, at the very least, disconcerted, like visibly alarmed cat.
It's a shame, because afterwards Robert Vaughn beat it to death with a shoe.
After he got done with all the ducks.
Yeah. So they go into the dressing room and they're like,
There's
do you
an
have
order
a letter?
of operations after every scene based on how many.
Do you have a letter from your father? And she's like, I might have it somewhere. And then Randolph steps out and is like, yo, what up? I'm the villain. I already beat you here because I'm the only competent villain Thrush ever had. We're not doing this fucking robot shit anymore. It's just me with a gun and the boys.
That's right. And the boys show up. The boys have changed their look. Like, he's completed all of their loyalty quests, and so what they have is a slightly palette-swapped version of their outfits where everything is the same, except they've changed from a red shirt to a yellow shirt to show that they're serious.
That's right. By the way, I didn't realize it at this point, but these are the karate killers. These are the titular karate killers.
Apparently.
I'm like, none of them do karate at any point.
No.
Pretty sure. Didn't get a good look at them. Pretty sure they're white.
You
Yeah,
do karate.
I mean,
as a white guy.
They let white people do karate?
For real?
The fuck?
You're allowed to do it.
Next, you'll be telling me white people are Muslim now. It's ridiculous. But so
I've never met
they
one.
get
never
out
allow that.
into the.
I've heard of it.
That's a joke or a fetish. That's just a bit.
That's right. They get out into the club. The fight spills out. The band stops playing, and this is my favorite thing that Herbert Lom does in this whole movie. Is he pulls a gun and he goes, "No, you keep playing the '60s Sunshine Pop, you Beach Boys motherfuckers. This doesn't concern you. You continue as normal."
Genuinely, he's like, "Keep playing," and I'm like, "Okay."
And the fight scene's happening. Ilya gets almost drowned in a duck pond. But then the police burst in, and it's, of course, the same policeman from earlier.
There is one thing that I want to highlight, too, which is that Solo gets a weirdly intense environmental kill, where he jams a dude's face onto the strings of a guitar, and we get a shot of the dude, like, his face covered in blood, like, reeling, and it's like...
Damn.
Music wasn't that
What?
bad.
It's like, and these guys, I can't stress enough, the band is every mother's son. It's a bit like the Beach Boys, but worse. And meanwhile, Solo is doing fucking Gigi Allen shit to this guy's face with guitar strings.
They have one song,
like-
by the way, which they've been playing on a loop for. It is
Yeah.
quite clearly piped
The whole
in
scene,
post. Like,
Hello, Soho. This is Come On Down to My Boat. Open up this fucking pit.
This is the point, right? Okay, so they eventually get the picture because one of the other dancers just like hands it to Sally and is like Sandy and is like, hey, enjoy this. This is the device that you need to end the scene now. And
Yeah.
She goes,
it's got a different bit of the formula on it.
That's right. And Jill, I forgot her bloody name. What's the name of her fucking
Sandy.
character? No, the other lass.
Dora?
Imogen.
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 She
the
flirts
stacked
with the
baddie.
policeman. Yeah.
She flirts with the police officer
Yeah.
again, and that's the end of a scene. And this is the point where I'm like, oh, this is like a samurai movie, right? Because all that's happening, this is like a western. They're just going to a location, meeting some guys who need help, helping them, and then moving on.
Yeah,
Like, it's-
genuinely.
It's just like 4 little vignettes.
Side quests.
Yeah, kind of globe-trotting adventure.
And so
I quite like
the
it.
next one is in the ski lodge from OSS 17.
Yeah, what country is
Where-
this?
Austria,
Austria.
I want to say,
Daughter number 3, Yvonne.
is
Hello.
getting made out with by
I
none
jumped.
other. I fully a double take. A man we last heard saying,
Observe, Mr. Bond. The instruments of Armageddon.
but now he's horny and cool.
I choose
it's
to believe
Wet
this is his villain.
Blofeld.
This is villain origin story for Wet Blofeld, but this is fucking Stromberg.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
Kurt Jurgens.
Kurt Jurgens, yeah.
Like what?
Second
such a
Bond villain has
stacked
struck the
cast.
film.
Yeah.
So they're making out, and then he
Yeah.
stops her and he goes,
He's
By the way-
much older than her, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
by the way, I'm married.
Yeah.
And she slaps him.
Mommy don't know Daddy's getting hot at the body shop doing something unholy.
Yeah. And this is the thing, right? Polyamory, this is before polyamory was invented, so you had to do ableism instead of that. So he says, my wife, I'm married.
You know, my wife, a helpless invalid.
So, yeah, he's not getting the good invalid pussy, and therefore
Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
it's normal, it's regular. He considers himself to be doing nothing wrong. She, however, does, and she leaves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she like
She's
storms
like,
out.
what kind of girl do you think I am? I'm out of here.
Mhm.
She skis away, which is the best way to break up with someone.
Yeah. He says to her
If you can do it, listeners, if you can do it.
So does England.
Yeah.
in his like last ditch effort to try to save this failed affair, he goes, listen, you broke ass bitch. You can't afford your clothes. You're living in this hotel room,
Yeah.
but you're not paying for. Why don't you just let me fucking pay for it, huh? How about that? And she
Yeah,
goes,
yeah.
Yeah.
fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Or the skis
Yeah, no sugar
indeed that
daddies.
you rode in
Yeah,
on.
fucks.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It's great.
He offers to like
she
buy
goes
it.
back
Like, he
to the
wants to be a
hotel.
sugar daddy, basically. He offers, like,
Yeah.
I'll give you an account at all the stores in town. You have whatever you want because I'm really rich. And she's like, no, I'm not that kind of girl. Get wrecked.
Doesn't sound that bad being like a kept woman at like a sort of Austrian ski resort.
Oh, I mean, that's fucking great. Like,
you get a lot of like very, very hot, very alcoholic drinks.
yeah,
wear
a lot of fur
furs.
coats. Like, listeners, if you're in a position to
Yeah.
offer me this, please write in.
Oh, I think
Kurt
yeah, I
Jurgens,
think
if
we
you
might have
are
lost
listening, which I know you are.
2/3 of us to that reverie.
That's a critical level of podcast derailment.
My favorite detail, I may have mentioned this when we did The Spy Who Loved Me, but I looked this up. Kurt Jurgens, first of all, not a Nazi, seemingly, which we may have claimed that he was when we did Spy Who Loved Me. It's he got imprisoned for like anti-Nazi sentiments at the end of
Oh,
the war.
wow.
which is
That's like the total opposite of what we said.
Yeah. But on the other hand, he also once had a near-death experience where he claimed that he had died and gone to hell. And the Wikipedia,
Oh, no.
the Wikipedia page just drops that in there, just like, yeah, he was in time prison for a bit.
Maybe that's why he stopped being a Nazi. He got Scrooged.
I think it was like after, it was like long post-war, he had a heart attack, and he was like, he fucking thought he went to hell. Kurt Jurgens is dead now. I hope he's
82.
not in hell.
Yeah.
I really hope he's not in hell.
Most people, when they have that near-death experience, they definitely do the I died and went to heaven bit. I don't think I've ever heard someone being like, geez, I had a near-death experience and I went to hell. Oh my god,
it's like
no.
Kurt Jurgens and John Constantine are the two.
Now that's a team-up, baby.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, so
Kurt Jurgens with the fucking forearm tattoos.
Yeah. Doing that thing to that cat from the scene from it.
So this sister, Yvonne, she goes back to the hotel where she is immediately intercepted by Herbert Long wearing a gay little scarf.
Yeah.
I love the gay little scarf.
I've paid your hotel bill. Would you like to do me a favor? There's a funny bit where he says, I want a very special photograph. And she says, you should talk to my sister in London. She goes in for that sort of thing. He says, no.
Yeah, no.
Like
yeah,
that.
It's like
it's really
Irving
nice.
Claw shit.
No, hold on, no.
Yeah. So
he's like, your father
convinces her
sent you a
successfully
photograph
that-
recently. And she's like, oh, yes. Yeah, he did. And she said, oh, it's in my hotel room. And he goes, no, it's not. I've already searched it.
Yeah,
She's like, oh, it's in my bag, which I fucking left in Stromberg Chalet when I broke up with him. And he's like, let's go there right now.
yeah. Meanwhile, Stromberg, Kurt Jurgens is like, I've got one last thing to do. I'm going to put on my silly little Alps hat and my
ski down to the
ski
thing.
down and make like one last shot. He takes the fucking bag with him, goes up to the desk and is like, look, let me pay for room like 405 or some shit. And she's like, and the dude at the desk is like, I'm afraid the bill's already been settled. And then he's like, no.
Yeah,
Like
he
immediately
understands
walks to the
this.
Immediately
bar.
goes to the bar, starts like knocking back cognac.
He understands this, that she's been like two-timing him with the other old rich dudes. And he's like, oh, god damn it, the bitches, man. Like,
Solo and Kuryakin come in. Solo tries the same bit on the same guy where he's like, oh, can I pay for this woman's hotel room? And the guy has to tell him, oh, yeah, 2 dudes have already told me that in the last 10 minutes.
Desk is
so
fucking
good.
loving it. He's like, damn, that pussy must be amazing.
You will find one of them inhaling cognac.
Solo walks out of the desk and is like, I've got some questions about the girl in room 402. And he's like, would you like to pay her bill as well?
Yeah.
It's just so good. You're 2 guys late, buddy. Fucking so funny.
So Solo goes to the bar where Stromberg is like drinking, and I write down at this point, why the hell they got a regular ass bowl of popcorn at the Alpine Ski Lodge bar? Because they really do. It's like a big movie bowl of popcorn, and like Solo just takes a handful of popcorn. He's like, so, ever hear about women?
Women are funny.
That's his line. It's just like, do you know about women?
Yeah. And Stromberg's just like, oh, she was two-timing me, and like, and then Solo's like, where is she now? And he's like, I don't fucking know.
Stromberg is doing so good. He's like properly like, he's got his cognac. He's in his like sad boy mode. And he's like, women, they find out you're married, and then they're just gone.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. One day she's wrapped around my little finger, and then she finds out that I'm married to an invalid, and she's like,
he is acting this with the intensity of like a man who has seen and believed he is going to hell.
He does a really good job in this. Like, I think his performance in this is better than it was in James Bond.
great.
Yeah, we should get more actors to think that they're gonna go down.
We need to send more actors to like time prison.
Well, hold on. I don't think my performance is going to be improved by seeing a glimpse of my eternal fate.
I don't know. It's only a near-death experience. Hold still. So
I already went to hell when I sold my soul for 7 years of fame, fortune, and transition. Okay.
How many years into that are we?
I'm 2 into it. I've got 5 left.
Plenty
Meanwhile,
more of the
back at the
podcast.
chalet, Randolph is hitting a woman, his
First
favorite
concern
pastime.
now.
Yeah, yeah. He loves to slap a woman, and he's doing it. And she's like, I don't know where the thing is. It was in my bag. My bag was just here. Meanwhile, the boys, Stromberg, and Solo and Kuryakin have all teamed up, all put on differently fucked ski goggles.
That's fucking right.
Yeah, what the fuck? Robert Vaughn looks like he's in the ski matrix. Like little pointy,
there's so
narrow
many
glasses. Like, what?
There's so many
So
things that
good.
like make this like a like funny visually, and it's gonna be, we're really gonna struggle to choose episode out for this one. I
Yeah.
really think.
And Thrush
So-
attack on skis.
Yeah, Thrush show up with the most fucked balaclavas I've ever seen.
The Karate Killer's
And sort of-
bracket skis.
skiing towards you at a weapon with skiing pace.
This is a fucked fit they've got on this one. This one is unbelievable. It's a full like black bodysuit basically with red piping. It's like a skull-looking ass ski mask. Except if you imagine a ski mask that looks like a skull, you're going to imagine like white or anything like that. No, all black, but with just like a big flap over the mouth that looks like the jaw of a skull. Fantastic.
It's cool.
Yeah, sick.
At this point,
they do
Stromberg
ski karate.
breaks off from the ski karate while Solo and Kuryakin are fighting. He's like, I gotta go rescue this girl. Busts in. Herbert Lom is like, all right, why are you here? Do you have the thing? I will slap this woman several more times.
Where is her bag? And he's like, oh shit, I left it in the hotel bar. And Herbert Lom's like, for fuck's sake.
Herbert Lom's like, and just immediately leaves.
Yeah.
He's like, God damn it. These fucking people.
At which point, we see Sandy picking up the case in the bar. Also, Stromberg then goes to comfort Yvonne, and he's like, he reveals that he's been doing the classic double reverse fake marriage bluff.
He's like, I don't have a real wife. I was just testing you.
Because he's like, I needed to make sure you weren't interested in me for my money because I'm the richest guy in town. And like that's why I offered to make you, a kept woman and like buy you all these furs and stuff because I needed to tempt you to know that you were really interested in me.
Small question, a test that both Abby and I would fail.
Yes.
Why then is he drinking
I would too, buddy.
sadly about this when no one can see him?
He's lying.
Because I think
in this moment.
He's like, I'm going to kill my wife later.
He's inhabited
like, I'm
the
gonna-
No, I think it's
persona.
because
He's like,
he realizes that, because when he hears that her bill's been paid, he thinks, oh, she was actually playing me. She's just like sleeping around. I guess she really was. Because he said, I came down here ready to confess and propose to her, but I found her bill's already been paid by some other jackass. And so I was like, women are funny.
Well, women are funny. Sandy just takes the fucking thing, gets on a ski lift with it.
And then the Uncle Jet.
Yeah. So they go to
Yeah.
Austrian airport, which is very clearly in California, and they have a little Learjet or something with the Uncle logo on it, which is very funny in itself, but more funny when you remember that Uncle's logo is a globe with Napoleon Solo standing next to it.
Yeah, that's kind of
He's
weird.
on the logo, and he's only number 11.
This dude's not even the best agent we have. He's on the fucking logo. It's like if
How do you
it's
feel
like
about that if you're
MI6's logo
Kuryakin?
was just Sean Connery's face.
They should do that. They should make that their logo.
Yeah, it was very unusual.
It would explain how everyone knows perfectly, has a perfect 3D model of James Bond's head if that was MI6's logo.
Napoleon Solo is like the face of Uncle, right? Everyone knows who he is. He's on the
Uncle's
campaign.
meant to be secret, I think, which they put it on the... Well, anyway, they get on the jet. Solo, Kuryakin,
I like this
and
moment.
Sandy.
I really like this moment because all throughout the film, Herbert Lom has been like one step behind them. But now they get on the jet and they're like, okay, we're going to fly to see like the next daughter. And Herbert Lom comes out of the pilot's fucking booth, office, cabin,
Booth?
cockpit.
Cabin. Gonna go with cabin.
He comes out of the captain's
I don't know, but we're going to be calling it the pilot's booth
bridge?
from now on.
The captain's pit.
Chambers. He comes out of the captain's apartment with a gun. And it's like, hey, I'm going to take you
Guess what,
hostage
bitch?
now. What up? You're flying Air Lom.
Nice. Yeah. Sick.
It literally vamps a bit. He's like, oh, do you want some coffee or tea? It's really funny.
It's cute. Actually, chicken or fish, Mr. Solo.
We then cut to all three of them tied together in sort of desultory fashion. While he explains that basically, you got to tell us where the thing is. Otherwise, Sandy is gonna experience there is a weird page break in the shooting script here.
The pleasures of free fall.
3, 4.
Otherwise, Sandy will experience the pleasures of free fall.
Free. 4.
Kill Bond.
Kill Bond. Now. He was gonna say free fall in one word, but he got distracted by thinking about whether it's like a captain's booth.
Napoleon and Kuryakin are like, yeah, cool. So they hand over the microfilm, which has the photos on, and then they take off, and Herbert Lom ties them up, and then him and the boys parachute out, and he's like, the autopilot has been engaged. It will take you out over the Mediterranean. When you run out of fuel, that will be arrivederci, Mr. Solo.
Solo and the Karate Killers experience the pleasures of free fall.
Yeah, they jump out. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and then Solo has to like untie himself and open Channel D to Waverly, who like tells them
they manage to untie themselves, and then they get into the captain's mausoleum, and they manage to land the plane. They glide it in to an
unknown captain. Yeah, they guide it into the Balearic Islands or something.
So then we go back to New York City, and M is like,
it's the shot of New York that looks like shit for the first time in this movie, like an hour in.
And M's like, well, boys, we've fucked it, because the Thrush have 3 of the photos, and the 4th one, we were going to send you to Rio, but there wasn't enough budget in the film. So actually, the daughter in Rio has like published it in a newspaper, like as a photo of her famous father. And now Thrush have got it. This out. They've got the whole formula.
They got the whole formula, but we've got the whole formula too, and we've asked our boys to have a fucking proper brain think about it. Formula doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Absolute nonsense. But the letters...
What it does have, letters in it.
The letters.
And those letters...
rearranged to spell Japanese lullaby. And I was like, I love those guys on Spotify.
Yeah. And they're like, Sandy, he said only you would know the truth, so what is Japanese lullaby? And she's like, I have no fucking idea.
Goes,
and they're like, ow.
No clue. Throws up her hands. Yeah. It's like, fuck.
And it's so good because they cut over to like, they cut over to Thrush Central where like all of the boys and fucking like Randolph are all staring at it being like, shit. What the fuck does that mean?
What the fuck is a Japanese? And you can see it's like a whiteboard where they've gone and like moved each individual letter with an arrow. It's really funny. They've been there for fucking hours.
They're all just stood there and like, well, I never thought I'd say this, boys, but I'm glad they aren't dead. And then they all just walk out the door to be like, we're going to go kidnap them again, lads. Let's go.
Yeah, so they're driving Sandy to her father's house, and then the Thrush motorcycle display team attack.
These karate killers have done everything it's possible to do except karate at this point.
Yeah. At some point, they're going to like do taekwondo, and you're just going to be like, fucking...
We get a moving background car chase.
Yeah, we do.
It's so good.
One of them even climbs on board the car and has to like fight Solo and Kuryakin.
Yeah, this karate killer, fucking Kronstein Rosette, because he does the same thing that James Bond does when he gets in a helicopter, which is he immediately attacks the person who is operating the speeding vehicle.
Yes.
So he gets
he does.
and then immediately attacks Ilya, and it's what the fuck are you doing?
It's my favorite aspect of this is that every single time Ilya is the one who's driving.
Yeah.
I don't even think Solo has a license.
No, he's too gay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And this works. Like they're able to force the car off the road, knock everybody unconscious, and then Lom shows up in a wood-paneled station wagon, which he still manages to kind of serve in. He like pulls to a stop, and he's like, nah. It's great.
He gets MILF pussy in this thing.
It's so good.
Yeah,
he like
so much.
rolls up to it. He sees
got plastic on the seats. That's how much MILF pussy this guy gets.
Oh my god! He rolls up and he lets like he takes Sandy in. He takes Ilya in. He looks at Napoleon Solo lying completely dead on the back seat and is like, fuck it, we don't have room for him. And then they just drive away.
Not important.
I'm like, I love it when they just leave Solo. Like every fucking uncle villain just keeps being like, whatever, this guy's useless, fuck it.
Yeah. So we then see that, as Avi said earlier, a henchman is slapping the shit out of Sandy. Lom stops him and is like, these crude methods are quite unnecessary, and then starts slapping.
He like, she's getting like slapped and he's like, stop, Jesus Christ, stop.
No, like this.
No, you gotta put your whole body in it. Come on.
It's like, no, you got to do
You
it
go at the
open
wrist,
palm.
it's
You
like
don't
an
want to like scratch her with
elbow.
the nails. Like, it's like, no, you want to
Take
get
the ring off, for God's sake.
Yeah, so you want to get it on the cheek. Like, you're going too far. You don't want to leave like, yeah, that's not good. Would you open
Yeah, very
palm?
safe, sane, and consensual Herbert Long.
Yeah. Got to have a chocolate afterwards. Like,
Solo is
If we
like,
did episode titles, I would want to call this one Safe, Sane, and Consensual Herbert Lom. But sadly.
yeah.
so Kuryakyn activates a little fucking tracking device on his watch, which allows Solo
Gadget
to
watch.
it allows Solo to wake up, steal a motorcycle, and like follow the tracker towards them.
Ilya hears the worst thing it's possible to hear, which is Herbert Lom is talking to Sandy, and Sandy's like, "What, are you going to torture me?" And Herbert Lom goes, "Not you." And you can see Ilya go, "Oh God."
It's like, again.
Oh, they're talking about me. And they put him on
so-
the worst fucking thing I've ever
Yeah,
seen in my
I
life.
love this thing. This thing is the ice stabbing machine. It's a great commentary
No budget
on the
left.
West's like gluttonous appetite for stabbed ice. We all get like
It is a machine
these
with
days-
a conveyor belt angled upwards that takes big blocks of ice and then sort of half guillotines them with a block of wood that has like nails driven
It's
through
like a
it.
pitchfork. It's the end of a pitchfork. It just stabs the ice.
Additionally, there's a wide angle shot, and you can see that this is operated by what is clearly just like a desperately fraying hairy rope that's operated by someone off screen, just pulling it and letting it go and pulling it and letting it go, and it's perfect.
Yeah. It is the like also just roll off the conveyor belt. How difficult is that? It's like a really narrow conveyor belt.
They only got like 3 shots of it working right ever, so you get like a load of repeated footage of it stabbing into the ice. It's so beautifully shit. I cannot impress
what is
you
the
enough.
market for this stabbed ice?
They're just breaking the ice into smaller bits using the ice
Half
stabbing
the time
machine.
it doesn't work. Like it's just
Yeah,
an ice with some holes in it. It's
Yeah, it like half stabs one big block and then the block tumbles off down, and you're like, what the fuck? And then the second one, they like clearly holding the block in place so it can start stabbing it more effectively.
It's like one of those silly
so they
cocktail
put him on
bars
the
where they've got
conveyor
like a
belt.
big ice machine in the middle of it that like does weird shit. And it's like, just give me some
Yeah.
fucking ice.
They put him on the thing, and eventually this forces Sandy to go. I like in clear desperation. I don't fucking know what a Japanese lullaby is, and this prompts Herbert Long to deliver the funniest fucking line in the whole movie.
You will remember in Japan.
We're going to Japan then. Get on the plane. Right.
At this point,
that's
I
it. We're going
You
to
will
Japan.
remember in Japan. At which point I write down there better be some fucking karate there.
Yeah.
No. It is not.
But she says, oh, my father had like an old colleague, a scientist in Japan. Maybe it's something to do with that. And he's like, cool, good enough for me. So they
that'll
leave.
do.
In Japan.
They leave Ilya on the conveyor belt, obviously, but Solo rescues him, obviously.
Obviously. And then we go to Japan where
Racist music, question mark.
Such a
racist
good, like-
music.
Yeah, go on, sorry. It's not that important.
No, it's like what is it? Fucking xylophone, I think, something
Yeah.
like that. But a lot of like individual high notes. Sorry, you know, like yeah. And she's like she's like being driven around Tokyo, and she's like,
get it
and essentially,
perfect.
Lom is like, name any Japanese person.
Genuinely,
For $1
it's
million,
so fucking
name a
funny.
Japanese person.
Name a Japanese man.
But like,
Name one Japanese man.
There is a karate killer in the passenger seat and the driver's seat. Herbert Lom is in the back, staring absolutely dead-eyed straight at Sandy and going, "We have been driving around Tokyo for 4 hours. Name any Japanese man you can think of." And she's like, "God, I just don't quite remember." He's like, "You have 10 additional
any
minutes."
Japanese person.
But they go to
For
a public.
$1.
They go to a public place because she thinks, oh, maybe I remember. Like, there's a guy who's like a scientist or something, marine scientist. But she gives him the slip in the crowd, and there's quite a fun moment where she's like, in desperation, pleads with this group of Japanese women who are walking past. It's like, no, please hide me. These people are like, after me, and they appear to not comprehend. And then one of them just goes, yeah, okay, sure, stick with us. We'll take care of you. It's just quite this sweet moment. She's like, oh, teeny bopper, you stick with us. Like,
yeah. The loyalty of like girls in club bathrooms at like 3 a.m. They immediately like adopt her as their own, which is fun.
I've read books about this happening.
Mm-hmm. And they take her home, and I was like, hey, I like this. It's not racist. And then my next note is never mind in all caps, because they take her to their home, which is a geisha house, because they're geisha. These women who do not look
this woman, but additionally is Chinese. This is Irene Sue, a Chinese American actress. It just again to the producers, name any Japanese person right now. Do it. Best I could do is Chinese American. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Fine. Whatever. And they engage her in what I can only define as forced geishification.
They force femme a cis woman, which.
I got a Tumblr ask about someone doing that with their partner, and I'm like, that's the funniest shit I've ever heard.
I saw that, and I was like, interesting. But anyway, to hide her, they say, well, she's like, I've got to hide, and she's like, okay, step 1.
You train hard and fast to become a geisha.
Oh, it all comes fucking full circle, doesn't it? Jeez.
I love this shit.
So
I love it.
As she's getting geishified, she's like trying to contact Uncle, and she's also telling them, hey, some foreigners are like chasing me, and I'm in like serious danger. And so this woman she's talking to is like, yeah, okay, fine, don't worry about it. We'll sort it. At this point, they're unable to get anyone from Uncle. Because, the phone directory can't find an organization that has its logo of its dude on its jet.
Yeah, because she's like, just call Uncle. And she's like, do you know how many like fucking uncles there are in like the USA? But anyway, Solo and Ilya arrive because Uncle do in fact track her down. And
and we learn a bit about Ilya.
I love this scene.
Yeah, this is a really good like throwaway line from Ilya.
So they come in, like, Solo's baffled by all of the strange and exotic things of the East, and he goes, oh, this is our first time in a geisha house, and Ilya just goes, speak for yourself, which I like.
It's really cool.
Yeah, really good.
And it raises the prospect of weeb Ilya, because he then also incorrectly explains to Solo what a haiku is.
Yeah, really good.
This is a good episode for learning things about Ilya, actually, because earlier on, when they walk into the Count's house and like everything's been stripped bare, everything's been sold, it's this very grand house, but everything's been taken out of it. Solo kind of looks around and raises his eyebrow, and Ilya goes, reminds me of home.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's really nice.
There's like 2 open holes in the floor.
Yeah.
It's really good.
The other interesting thing is that the geisha is speaking in like broken English at this point, and this is surprisingly good because we know she speaks better English than this, and the movie is like fairly explicit that this is like a client-facing deployment of like racism, right?
Yeah,
like,
I wrote down like genuinely find this to be not quite as racist as it could have been because they're clearly like playing it up to take advantage.
I wonder how much of that was the
two
script.
Guys.
And how much of that was the actress going, okay,
yeah,
I can kind of do something clever with this here.
Yeah, exactly. It's always hard to know.
Either way, it is clever. But they sit them down and they're like trying to like obviously waylay them. They're like, oh yeah, Sandy's in the back. Just have some tea. Don't worry about it too much. And waylay them into a tea ceremony at the start of which they like bonk them over the back of the head with steel fans, knocking them perfectly unconscious. At which point
want to clarify
Sandy
really quick
realizes,
because I've just mentally pictured the kind of response I'll get to that. I don't mean that it's not racist to portray Japanese people as playing up in order to take advantage of these 2 white guys. That's definitely racist. What I mean is the framing of this scene is such that we're supposed to think that Napoleon and Ilya are stupid for
like you said earlier on, the movie has shown
conceptions about them.
The movie has already shown us that these characters are capable of like not doing this.
What's unfortunate is that the which KJB host is racist this week spotlight has been rotating this whole time, and I'm afraid it's now stuck pointing in your direction. So
well, there's nothing else for it.
I really never thought that. Wow. Okay. Wow.
You'll have to take that out in post. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of historical reasons for why what you said was not accurate.
But Devin, I do want to invite you onto my stream to talk to you and challenge your views.
Yeah, we're going to have a really productive conversation, I think, about this.
Trans rights.
Yeah.
Trans rights.
Redemption arc for
Sandy
Devin?
I'm sorry, Clara. It's too
the
good a
trans
joke to
community
ignore.
has
I don't
the trans community has forgiven Devon.
Someone edit that, please.
Can we trust them?
No.
So at this point, after getting knocked unconscious with the fans, I'm like, was that the fucking karate?
Yeah.
Please tell me that was not the karate. But Sandy comes in and is like, oh no, not these
Sandy
white guys.
brackets
These are like
geisha.
these my boys. Yeah.
Oh shit, these are my boys. And they're like, oh fuck, we just properly knocked these guys out just now.
But so they wake them back up and they report into Waverly, whom Ilya describes to a geisha as Big Zaibatsu #1.
Yeah.
He's a
What?
weeb. He's a weeb. He's very enamored with Japanese culture and understands precious little about it.
Yeah.
It's great.
But anyway, then they kind of do remember who this like old colleague of her father's was.
Yeah, and they're like, he's a monk or a beggar now.
Yeah, he's a
The
scientist.
movie's not quite clear on the distinction.
He was a scientist. He quit science so they could become a beggar. And he was sent the formula by the scientist dude, Dr. True, because he couldn't be tempted by gold. Because he's like vow of poverty. And he hid the formula and he gives it to Uncle and is immediately killed by Herbert Lom.
Yeah, Herbert Lom shows up with... I genuinely was not sure if these were the same guys just finally, at long last, in karate mode, or if he had got all new karate guys. But he has the karate killers, and they are finally prepared to do something approximating karate.
And there's a really good moment actually
down there
just
cheering.
before where Herbert Lom turns up and he has a gun, and the beggar scientist guy goes to him and is like, you can't bring a weapon in here. Like, this is a sacred temple. This is a house of peace. And Herbert Lom just like emotionlessly guns him down in cold blood. And it's like, fuck, this guy's the best villain Uncle's had. Like, fuck Mr. Alexander doing like incomprehensible fucking crimes like based around gas. Like, this is just like Herbert Lom is fucking shit up more than any villain has fucked shit up using only a gun and 4 dudes.
That's
Herbert
right.
Lom knows where his keys are at all times. At
There's
no
no
point
way.
in this movie, I will be using this as shorthand henceforth for every villain who has their shit together. Herbert Lom knows where his keys
He's not
are. He
doing
is not wandering
surgery
around
on
the scene
anyone's
going
face. He's not
like, "Where's my
like
fucking key? Where did I
trying to
put
claim that
them?"
people are gonna get amnesia. He's just got a gun and 4 big dudes.
And sometimes that's all
Really?
you need to
That's-
get ahead in life.
That's all you need. By the way, this guy's played by Philip Ahn, who is a Korean-American actor.
Name any Japanese person.
For infinite gold, name a
One.
Japanese person.
To be
Name
fair,
one
he was
Japanese
extremely
person.
prolific, so it's not unreasonable he was cast on the merits of him as an actor.
Sure,
But
fine. Name a Japanese person.
So my notes say the Karate Killers, I presume. There is
Yeah,
a
the
fight.
karate killers, their karate is so strong that neither Solo nor Kuryakin are able to resist them. They're like kicking motherfuckers with their legs, which is something that they're totally unprepared for.
And they get owned. Randolph
As
he
opposed
beats
to-
them, he takes the formula, and he kidnaps all of them.
yeah,
Yeah, and he's like, because I respect you as enemies, I'm going to show you how you get owned before I kill you. So I'm
we've
going
been
take
to
you
so many locations. This movie, we've
to
been
the final location
we've been
of this movie.
Italy, London, Austria, America, Japan, and now where the fuck are we?
The South Pole.
That's
The
right,
polar
baby.
ice cap.
Yeah.
The
Thrush
perfect
Central and the
place.
Thrush
mountains
Central.
of madness.
They're like the anti-Santa. They're south and evil.
Tell you what, Thrush Central Complex is going to get fucked by climate change, apart from anything else. And
Wait, the
he
South
shows
Pole?
off
That'll
the
be alright, it'll be
Pole will be
great.
fine. Yeah,
will it?
yeah. There's land at the South Pole. There
Yeah.
is just ice at the north.
It'll be really valuable land
Okay.
in 200 years. It'll be the only inhabitable land.
That's right.
Oh, great.
And Greenland.
Buy an apartment there now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just get in on the ground floor, buy an apartment
It's-
on a research
It's quite a
station in the
commute
South Pole.
into central London from from the South
I mean,
Pole,
it's like
said.
Zone 4, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, it's bad, but it's manageable.
It's like Zone 5 or some shit, like the really weird
Yeah.
In the
zones.
London
of
census data, they're like, oh, there's a weird number of trans women living in Antarctica. Really weird. That.
So he shows them this polar base, which is like clearly a real polar base, and then we move to the soundstage where they're just driving a perfectly regular ass van across the ice base.
Yeah, sick. It's good.
Like, I like this van. I like it a lot. Everyone's wearing a giant fur coat, which looks fucking
And they've done
sick.
it. They've cracked the formula. They're like, yo, we're going to make infinite gold. It's going to be cool. Ilya's like, won't that cause inflation? And Herbert Lom's like, I've spoken to Kwasi Kwarteng and I'm pretty sure it won't.
It's like, got an answer for this? No.
Yeah.
Take them to prison.
Shut the fuck up. Put him in
Versus,
prison.
no, it won't. but won't creating an infinite supply of gold drive down the price of gold as a commodity? Versus, no.
Most
Debate of the
financially
century,
literate
baby.
monetarists. So they put them in jail.
Yeah, to be fair, it's what they're doing with diamonds at the moment. So
It's a nice jail cell, very austere, and they're being like watched on camera. And Sandy is mad because she's like a child, right? She's mad at Solo and Kuryakin, who are just putting their feet up, and we, the viewer, are meant to intuit from this and sort of the irony with the drop I started the episode with that like they're gonna do some shit. They've done it enough times that they want to be comfortable first. And my favorite detail of this is they fire up the big CCTV thing. Lom looks at them, and Solo just goes. Lom asks, "Do you have any complaints?" And Solo goes, "We haven't been shown a menu yet." And he like makes a lunch order in the fucking base. It's great.
yeah, it's really
Ilya orders kippers, which, like, man after my own heart. I love kippers.
Mm-hmm.
he knows what he
Kippers and
wants.
tomato juice.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. That's weird. Kippers and
Oh,
champagne.
yeah, skippers and tomato juice.
Ilya.
Joyce. Tomato Joyce.
Kippers and
Oh.
champagne is like the best breakfast for a special occasion. I have it on my birthday every year. Beautiful.
You strange woman.
Why?
So-
Why? The kippers are like salty and smoky, and the champagne cuts across it. It's fantastic.
I believe
so,
you.
Sandy gets a salad, and the whole time they are like obviously working towards an escape while telling her, "Nah, it's fine. Just give up."
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
honest.
And with their
And
backs
I
to the
like-
camera, they dissolve Napoleon's shoelaces in vinegar from the salad
Yeah.
dressing. Because again, everything an Uncle Agent wears is like got tech cord sewn into it.
There's
Yeah,
like a
the deck cord
direct
necktie.
like reference to that even.
They're called shoelace. Fuck.
It's like Sandy generally is like, don't you have like something hidden in the stitching of your tie? And he goes, not on this mission. Which is like fair enough to not wear the deck cord necklace every time you go out.
If I was capturing Uncle Agent, I would just confiscate their clothes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get him nude.
So,
Simple as.
There's two benefits to that. A, see him nude.
David McCallum.
B, can't escape.
But then they escape.
I really like the irony here.
Yeah, it's
it's
good.
really funny.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. The last 10, 15 minutes of this movie, I genuinely really enjoyed.
Finally
It's really,
nailed the endings. Because this is
Yeah,
traditionally the
they're
point
doing
of the Uncle
bits.
film where I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
They do bits like they're luring guards around corners with lines like "I just escaped. Can you show me the best way to get out of here?" They're like, there's a fantastic bit where one of the guards loses a fight, gets beaten up. He's like doubled over hunching, and David McCallum goes back and gives him a second uncle
I
chop
love that
to
moment.
knock him unconscious.
So
good.
it runs off camera, runs back on, big chop. It's so fun. It's like, karate, kill this motherfucker.
Ow.
We get in a gunfight every time. Sandy like stands off to the side screaming, but I don't mind it as much because she is like basically playing a kid. So this is the thing. My problem with like 60s movies and 60s misogyny is that like it makes women into like act like children. It's less weird here because everybody is like talking about what a kid she is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're firing up the big gold machine, and the danger needle is rising. The danger needle makes a return.
To 10,000 danger, the magic number.
Yeah.
Once it hits 10,001 danger, the base blows up.
Kaboom. So Ilya and the boys, they like sabotage the thing, and there's a big fight and a gunfight. And then they infiltrate the gold plant, and they set it to like explode mode.
Yeah.
And then Herbert Lom runs in, and he's like puts his hand in the machine. It's like, it's working like gold. Look at all this gold, and it explodes, and he gets like covered in glitter and dies. which
sick.
fantastic way to go.
Goldfingers.
Yeah, he
Delve
gets
too
gold
deeply
fingers.
and
Yeah.
too greedily.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Happens to us all. Yeah, he does.
At this point, we get one of our beloved little epilogues where it's a classic everybody gets married ending.
Yeah, a classic
so-
Shakespearean ending to a comedy.
Yeah.
Everyone gets married.
Solo, Kuryakin, Sandy, one of the geishas, Waverly because he loves going to weddings. They all go to
does.
London, where Imogen is marrying Terry Thomas, Yvonne is marrying Stromberg, and the Count and Countess are like
Renewing their
happy and-
vows. Yeah.
yeah. And like Uncle has paid for all of their weddings, and it all came out great.
Yeah,
and
they even
that's
have
the
they have a
Karate
cute
Killers.
moment at the end where they say, "Oh, I gather Uncle paid for the ceremony," and then somebody says, "Well, yeah, of course. If you can't get the father of the bride, the next best thing is an uncle."
Yeah, they both like finish the line together, and,
Yeah.
and Waverly's like, "Quite right," and then
Yeah.
takes a photo of the bride, and it's like, "Wow, there you go."
So much.
They've
It's
done
like
it.
they finally figured out how to end the movie without Waverly just being like, "I'm gonna die soon."
I think this is a genuine like high note for the series.
I
think
really
this is-
liked this
legitimately
movie.
enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It was just fun to watch.
They're getting better.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. So
Listen, they understand that the best part of all of the movies we watched thus far is someone gets assassinated, Waverly goes, "Oh, he had a daughter," and then Solo drops off and we get to introduce a cast of characters. So we
Yeah.
just did it 4 times in a row, and it was fucking great.
yeah. They just a great script goes set up, set up, set up, set up, ending.
yeah.
Beautiful. Print that shit,
ending
baby.
with way- yeah.
Act one, ending.
But we have a science-based rating
Yeah, we
system on
do.
this podcast.
Yeah.
It's called the SCUM system. It stands for SMARM, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, and misogyny. SMARMy is the Karate Killers.
It is pretty pleased with itself.
It's
In moments
very
where it's
smart,
like,
man.
so Mr. Solo will like this and be like, "Oh, we should just sort of escape in our enigmatic way." It's like, okay.
That's a high SMARM. The thing is, I really enjoy a high SMARM movie sometimes. This is a great example of how a high SMARM content does not necessarily mean it's unenjoyable.
Yes, that's
Um,
true.
I would put this based largely off of the last 20 minutes. I would put this at about a 5 or a 6.
I've got 5, yeah.
Yeah,
Do 5?
I can see that.
All right. Cultural insensitivity. Well,
We got a lot of cultures to be
obviously-
insensitive to in rapid succession.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Only 2
Italians
that you can
allowed.
be. Italian and
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't be
Japanese people are
insensitive to the
Chinese.
Austrians. It's
And Korean.
And Korean.
And geishas.
And geishas.
And whenever they're on screen, sort of like vaguely Japan-themed music is
Yeah.
playing.
I mean, I do like what Dev pointed out, that it does kind of show us that the geisha house is a bit of a performance for the sake of the guests, which I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
like cleverer than usual. And like it, I do like the moment where it appears as if we're gonna get like a moment where the Japanese people don't understand what Sandy's saying, and then they just speak like perfect English. I'm like, okay, you're kind of aware of this a little bit.
yeah, they're trying to play against this sort of trope.
Yeah.
How successfully
know-
they pull it off, it's not my place to say, but they are aware of it and trying.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that is like the movie and how much is like Irene Tsu and others like doing this single-handedly, but I think either way they have like clawed it back down to something like in the level of like, oh, I don't know, 4 maybe? 4 or 5? Do 5.
Dev?
I don't know. I mean,
Sort of
I
casting
think,
vote here.
I think 5.
Okay.
And
Unprovoked violence.
Well, unprovoked violence. Nearly did the SCUM system. The unprovoked violence in this movie. Solo fucking mashes a dude's face up with guitar strings.
Self-defense.
But it's a pretty big escalation of violence relative to everything else that's happening.
It is, but, well, yeah, I don't think the
don't-
film asks us to accept at any point that kind of any of the violence the heroes do is good.
Yeah, slapping women is bad. That's like the mark of a bad guy.
Yeah.
It seems pretty low to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
do a
struggling to
1,
recall any moments where it's just like, this violence is good and okay.
yeah,
1, 2,
yeah,
Sure,
1.
yeah, 100%.
right. And misogyny.
Misogyny. Well, see, again, women are children, right?
Yep.
Or women love money, or women like
Use
are
sex for their
extremely
advantage.
horny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it's
Pretty
quietly one of the
high.
higher ones we've had.
Yeah, like pretty much only Yvonne is like the only woman who has any depth, and it's weird because she's just like one of the sisters. I think it's not as bad as it could be in the sense that, like, mentioning as ever using Kim Darby for this, it's like, oh, this is a child-coded adult woman, but still pretty bad. I could see my way to like a 6.
Yeah, I think I could too. Well, that gives us a total score of 17, which is pretty middle of the road for Uncle. Pretty solid.
Oh.
I think it's definitely the best made Uncle film we've had so far.
It's the one I've enjoyed the most.
I'm sorry, the spy with my face is still...
I had fun with this one. It did start to lose me again at the end, but I'm not entirely sure how much that was the movie and how much that was my own personal...
I think this one is definitely lifted by the cast.
I want to see more Herbert Lom movies, whether that's the Pink Panther or like the Lady Killers or something like that. I want to see Herbert Lom and more stuff. But this has been the Karate Killers. We're now up to the next one's going to be the penultimate Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie, which is going to be the Helicopter Spies.
No, I'm sorry. No, we've got the Helicopter Spies. Then we've got How to Steal the World, which is the one that my brother wants to come on.
The 15 Years
then
Later
we've got the 15 Years Later Affair.
Is not a feature film.
What is it then?
It's an episode, isn't it? It's like a made-for-TV episode.
Can we do it anyway?
Yeah, of course.
I want to find out what happens to them.
Yeah,
then we've got that, and then we've got Demodern from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about the modern cancellation one. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
the approaching 100% cancellation rate, Man from U.N.C.L.E. 2015.
That's right. The next one's the Helicopter Spies. Do we have any Kronstein's, Goodnights, things of this nature to award?
Yeah, Kronstein to that Karate Killer who attacked the driver.
Yes.
Yeah, like Karate Killer number 20, who just fucking jumps onto the car. No Goodnights that I can think of. And
I don't think so.
No Brian Coxes either.
All right, perfect. Well,
Brian Cox Memorial Award for unprompted, unforced errors in transphobia.
We do what we can.
Yeah, announcing you're transphobic. In that case, we will see you for the next bonus episode, which is going to be... God, what is it going to be?
It's my turn, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The next bonus episode will be A Few Good Men.
I'm so excited,
we're getting,
man. I'm so excited.
We're getting KD from War Takes on for that. So be very excited for that. And thank you for subscribing to the Patreon if you do. If you don't, fucking do it. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
See ya. Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Kill James Bond. Next week on the free feed, A Few Good Men with special guest, that guy from War Takes. I didn't double check his name before I started recording this outro, and good God, I'm not stopping. After that, on the free feed as well, will be the next Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie, which is The Helicopter Spies. Sort of like a spy that's very overbearing. The helicopter parenting joke. You don't have to give us any money, and good God, after that, why would you? But some still choose to, and I would be remiss if I didn't read out the names of our £15 and above patrons, and those are Candy Fox, Amanda Comet, Freya Aloysius, Gustavo Lira, Jack Holmes, Mike Berg, Thomas Oberhart, Nick Boris, Kentucky Fried Commie, Yarrick, Nato Mori, Cohen Enright, Harriet Cock, Labour Delenda Est, Ozymandias, Library Hitman, Beef Crime, Jack Drummond, Jonathan Gerdes, Callan Burney, Max Gamenhart, Jay Martindale, Kit Devine, Hell, Lysamesh, Jonathan Siegel, Harrison Fuller, Big Titty Goth Girl, Mothman, Tarp O, George Rohack, Trip, Clara Roasting Marshmallows, Alex, Violet Cybra, Liz and Ash in Florida, A Trans Robot, Men's Room Louie, Connor's Cool Big Sister, Ronan, The Spy Who Ruined My Marriage, Annie Ruby, Isopod Gal, Elizabeth Cox, My Jokes Keep Being on the Wrong Episode, Zoe Shepherd, Turfs Eat Shit and Die Alone, Quinn Valeri, Finn Ross, Alfredo, Wolfie, Big Old Boy, Al Owing, Robert Greensmith, Millie, Josh Simmons, Lauren Bastin, Roll History Pod, and Artemis Potter and Elizabeth Ball. Thank you. Your support helps make this show possible. Kill James Bond is, of course, Alice, Abigail, and Devon. Our producer is the wonderful Nate Bethay. Our podcast art is by Matty Lubchansky, and our website is by Tom Allen. See ya.